Hello and welcome to episode 69 of Learn, Do, Become Radio. I'm April Perry, and at Learn, Do, Become, we help people who are drowning in the details of life to create really simple systems so we can all do what matters most. Today we're talking about how to spend less time on social media. Now, it might seem a little bit strange for someone who runs an online business and encourages people to follow us on social media to be encouraging you to be on there less. In fact, Eric and I just went to a conference where we're learning from professionals on social media who are teaching us strategies to help you spend more time watching our videos and engaging with us on social, which is great from a business perspective, I guess. But Eric and I believe that to really architect a life of excellence, we want to be as deliberate as possible with our time online. Eric and I don't like spending a lot of time on social media. We spend some time on there, but we want to help you to be able to be wise in how you do it. So we have some ideas that we're sharing today from our team and community so that you don't need to feel like you have to live on social, okay? So the post is called Consolidate Your Inboxes to Reduce Time on Social Media, and we have 3 key ideas that we're sharing. I'm going to share them briefly here on the podcast, but then we actually have a little tutorial video on the post. So if you go to learndobecome.com/episode 69, then you can follow along, watch the video, and check that out. Okay, so let's go through these 3 tips to consolidate social media. First of all, we're consolidating them as inboxes. In our Steps to Everyday Productivity program, STEP, you hear me talking about that a lot, we teach you how to build a STEP command central. Part of that command central includes having an inbox. Now, we have a paper inbox to hold things like flyers and bills and things from school or, Post-it notes, things like that. But we also have digital inboxes like our email or Facebook Messenger or direct messages on Instagram, things like that. What we want to do is consolidate the number of places that we have to check every day. Inside of our home, it looks something like I have one place on the kitchen counter where my children would put papers that they need me to look at after school. Or if my husband has something that he wants me to see, a bill or something from our insurance or something like that, he has one place he puts it on my desk. That way, people aren't handing me things at all times of the day in all places, because I used to just receive papers and ideas and everything wherever I was. And when you have to look in your purse and in your car and on your counter and things that are magnetized to the fridge, and then you just feel overwhelmed, you actually don't get a lot done and you end up spending a lot of your time just shuffling papers. It's the same thing online. When you have multiple inboxes, you're going to feel a little bit overwhelmed unless you learn how to consolidate. So that's what we're talking about today. So number 1, minimize the number of apps that we're using. Sounds pretty simple, but sometimes in practice, it's not so easy. Here's a few things to consider. Where does most of your information come to you? Take a few minutes to look through the apps on your phone and actually write out a list of apps that you use for social media and or communication. Also consider social media websites that you access from your computer or that send you email notifications. So once you've identified all of those, I'm thinking for me, for example, I have Facebook, Facebook Messenger, I have Instagram, I have texts. I'm using WhatsApp with a friend who speaks Spanish, and we're practicing Spanish together. And then LinkedIn, and I know I have more, but those are like my key ones. Okay. The question is, how can you eliminate or consolidate your landing spots? And this could include things like setting up notifications to go to your email. So that way you only need to check your email, and that will tell you when you have a message from a certain person through a certain app. Another idea is if you have an app that you use to communicate with just 1 or 2 people, letting them know you'll be switching to an app you use more frequently could be helpful. So for example, if I just have one friend who's communicating with me through WhatsApp, I might want to say, hey, any chance you could switch over to Instagram messages or something else that I'm using, okay? Then you could also set up some messaging apps to come in as text messages. There are a lot of things you can do nowadays with technology. So with a good Google search and talking to friends, or if you're in our Step Mastery group, you could even just post in the group and ask people. It's pretty amazing to see how things can be consolidated to come to just one or two places. Here's a great example. Jill, who is on our team at Learn, Do, Become, uses GroupMe to manage days and times for her kids' practices, games, etc. Because the GroupMe messages are being sent to her Messages app, they can be uploaded easily into Apple Calendar, which she has set to sync with her Cozy app, COZI, which is a great app a lot of people in our community like to use to manage their tasks. This is so handy for the almost daily changes and updates to the sports schedules. Now, it might take a little bit of energy and a little bit of brain power to say, oh, how do I get GroupMe to go to messages, and how do I put it in Apple Calendar, and how do I sync that with an app? You obviously will need to do a little bit of thinking and planning, a little strategy, but having a quick and easy way to update the family calendar without opening and entering a whole new event, especially with Jill, where she has these happening daily, that's a huge time saver. So then, considering your answers to the questions that we've asked, we want you to record your streamlined list of apps or websites that you are committed to checking. So imagine you just took a piece of paper, and on the left side, you write down all the places things are coming to you. And then on the right side, you record your limited number of consolidated inboxes by thinking creatively about how you're using your current ones. Kind of fun, right? Let's move on to number 2. Be intentional about your social media usage. Now that you have a consolidated list of apps you're committed to checking, here are some questions to consider. First, how often would you like to check each app or website? This is really helpful. For example, with email, there are some people who only check it once a week. And if your email load is really light and you don't have a lot of things that are time consuming, then that could be just fine for you. For me, I need to check email probably 4 to 5 times a day because I'm working online and there's a lot coming in. I'm working with contractors and things like that, and I need to get things moving. Of course, if I take a day off and I say, hey, I really don't check my email on April Day, I have one day that's more strategy, and I really don't check email a lot on Sundays, that gives me a little bit of a break. Plus, I've decided to stop checking email between 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. So I'm not just getting on my phone and checking it, at 10:30 at night when I'm getting ready to go to bed, or I'm not waking up to email. That's been really helpful for me. But being able to look at each app and say, how often does this deserve time in my life? It's really helpful to be deliberate about that, because then you don't find the creep where you just open your phone and you scroll through all your apps and then you stop. And then you go do something for 10 minutes and you think, oh, I bet I have a new message or a new notification, which you probably do. So then you go through the whole loop again. That's something that's very common, but it's really a time waster when you think about it. All right. And then next question. When would you like to check notifications? So not only are you going to be on the app, but you're actually going to go through the notifications. When would that make sense for you? For example, Facebook notifications are great for me because I like to see if someone's commented on a post I put in a Facebook group, or I like to go and check and see if someone has a birthday or something like that. So what time of day or what day of the week do I want to do that? I usually check maybe every other day on Facebook, maybe every day. But going through those notifications and cleaning up the notifications while you go is really helpful, because sometimes I get notified about things I just don't need, right? And then another question, how much time would you like to spend on this app or website? So not only are we looking at how often we're on there and how often we're checking notifications on there, but then we're asking, how much time in general do I want to be on this app? With phones now, they actually can track this for you. So you can set a goal and say, I just want to spend maybe 5 minutes a day on Instagram or 10 minutes a day on Facebook or something like that. And there's always new apps being created. And so having some kind of idea is going to help you be able to look at that. We actually had this discussion with our teenage daughter. She is on Instagram to connect with friends, and she likes to keep up with the news through Instagram. Plus, she helps run our Instagram at Learn, Do, Become. And so we looked at how much time she was spending on Instagram and asked, hey, how are you feeling about this? Looks like it's a little more time than we would expect. What do you think? So we actually had a conversation. She set a goal for how long she wanted to be on it. And then she was able to check it each week and report back to us and just let us know, hey, this is how it's going. And it was really awesome because she didn't realize how much time was just being lost on Instagram. So if you have children, especially, this is really an important conversation to have with them. But I think it's even more important that we model that. Because if we're sitting on social media or just on our phones in general for hours and hours a day, I strongly believe that we're not getting our most important work done. And I believe it's preventing us from being as present with our families as we want to be. Now, let's move on to number 3, customize your settings. Because this differs from app to app, this is where we'd encourage you to take a few minutes to explore your options. It seems counterintuitive to spend time here, but a few minutes spent on customizing your notification settings can save you hours in time spent scrolling later on. For example, I used to have all of my Facebook notifications come to my email. This was years ago when I first signed up for the account, but I found I really didn't want them in email because it was a habit for me to just go in and check, maybe once a day. I also got to a point where I had to turn off my Messenger notifications and get help managing that because I was getting way too many Messenger emails because we have thousands and thousands of people at Learn, Do, Become. And a lot of people were messaging me about questions and things. And I love engaging, but I can't engage with thousands of people on my own. That's why we have a team here to help us. So I have a team helping me in my Messenger as well. But I turned off notifications because they were coming through like texts and I couldn't get that many texts. It was just driving me crazy. So I turned that off. So it's okay to turn off notifications. And in your phone, you can say, hey, I don't even want to see these notifications. I even know people who have turned off notifications on their text messages and they just go in and check them every few hours. For me, that doesn't work because my husband and my children need to get in touch with me and I'm really not on my phone that much. It drives them crazy that I'm not always checking my texts. They have to call me if they need something because oftentimes I'm just ignoring texts or have my phone turned off or something like that. I even got an Apple Watch to help me so it would tap me when I got a text, but I don't know. I don't love being on my phone. So my family knows that. Taryn, who is a team member here at Learn to Become, has turned off all visible and audible notifications for Facebook. Now, first of all, I just need to say, I love the idea of turning off anything that buzzes or dings. I want my phone quiet. My phone is here to serve me. Your phone is to serve you, not to be your master. So I love the idea of not having anything that's audible, okay? Maybe a buzz for a text or a phone call or something like that, but having it off is going to be huge. So Taryn turned it off for Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram. She knows that she'll see them when she opens the app or she logs in on the computer. This is really important because Taryn actually runs the Learn, Do, Become Messenger. She runs our Facebook groups at Learn, Do, Become, and she helps manage our Facebook page, and she helps manage all of our Instagram comments. So if she was getting a ding every time there was a notification, it would literally be making noise all day. So she's created that white space. So when she's teaching her piano lessons or she's doing her other activities, she's not being interrupted. And when she's ready to work or ready just to socialize, then she can go in and do that. Kristen, one of our team members, has also set up her Facebook so she doesn't ever spend time scrolling through the news feed. Now, she's kind of laughing about that. She said, do you really want me to teach people Learn to Become how to do that? Because we do use Facebook ads to help people who are scrolling through the news feed to learn about us. And that's the thing is I love social media in that we can actually reach millions and millions of people, and we have. Our posts on Facebook have reached millions. And it's because people are online, they're on their phones. But we don't want the whole world to live on their phones. We want people to come to Learn to Become, to sign up, hopefully to build a step command central. And as we get moving with life architecture and Arise and some of these awesome things we have going, we want people engaged and learning and benefiting from the work that we're doing here. But I do not want to create a culture in our world or at Learn to Become or in our family where sitting on our phones and scrolling endlessly is the natural state. And it's even hard. Like I was out walking the other day and 3 people passed me and all 3 of them were on their phones. And I said, good morning, and not one person looked at me. And I thought, wow, this is pretty sad that people won't even say hi when you're just walking down the street. But people are in their phones. And so I'm grateful to have the opportunity to bring good things to the world through the phones, through social media. I love that. But I also want to make sure that our work is encouraging strong families, strong lives, and helping you to create a life where you don't feel like you're anxious or discouraged or overwhelmed by everything that's hitting you. This is the very first generation that has ever had to learn how to manage overwhelm the way that we have. And with what's happening now, with all the technology and all the things that are coming, it's only going to become more intense for our children and our grandchildren. So my belief is that if we want to help strengthen our generation and the generations to follow, we've got to get this under control now and learn how to find the voices that are really going to help us to create these ideal lives that we're working towards, and then learn how to tune out all the noise. We don't want more noise in our lives. We want strength. We want peace. We want inspiration. We want enlightenment. We want to be educated. And it's amazing how much of that we can receive through our phones. But at the same time, we want to be wise. So I hope that these ideas are helpful to you. We have them all written out along with a little tutorial on how Kristen keeps from scrolling and scrolling and scrolling here on the show notes page at learndobecome.com/episode 69. Come check it out there. If you are not part of our STEP program yet, remember we have an introductory class at learndobecome.com/step. Please share this podcast episode if it's been helpful to you. Come comment on the show notes page. Let us know what you are doing to make sure that your time on social media is deliberate. And if you have any tips or tricks that you want to share, please do. We love learning from our community, and I know all of us can benefit. Have a great day. We'll see you soon at learndobecome.com.